Once upon a time, in a kingdom known for its shining towers and endless marble halls, life inside the royal palace moved like a carefully choreographed performance. Servants hurried through corridors, guards stood motionless beneath towering arches, and courtiers whispered secrets behind embroidered curtains. The palace was alive, yet within its walls lived a prince whose heart felt strangely empty. Prince Adrian Vale, the sole heir to the throne, was admired throughout the kingdom. He was wise beyond his years, calm in judgment, and carried himself with quiet authority. From the outside, he seemed to possess everything a man could desire: power, respect, and wealth. Yet none of these could fill the silence that echoed within him. Adrian often found himself standing alone by tall windows, watching sunlight spill across the palace gardens. He observed laughter from afar, ceremonies unfolding beneath golden banners, and celebrations that felt distant to his soul. Though surrounded by people, he carried a loneliness that no one noticed. It was during one such ordinary day that fate quietly shifted its course. A new servant had joined the palace staff. Her name was Ilara Wynn. At first glance, Ilara blended into the background like any other servant. She wore simple clothing, spoke little, and followed her duties without complaint. Yet there was something about her presence that subtly disturbed the rhythm of the palace. She moved with a grace that felt natural rather than learned. Her posture carried dignity, and her eyes held a depth that hinted at untold stories. Prince Adrian noticed her for the first time during a formal court gathering. As nobles discussed matters of trade and diplomacy, Ilara stepped forward to serve tea. Her hands were steady, her movements unhurried. A gentle calm surrounded her, as though the noise of the court could not touch her inner world. Adrian's gaze lingered longer than he intended. In that single moment, something awakened within him, unexpected and overwhelming. His heart began to race, and though he turned away quickly, the feeling refused to fade. The day passed, but Ilara's image remained etched in his thoughts. From that moment onward, Adrian found himself unconsciously searching for her presence. He noticed her crossing hallways, arranging silver trays, cleaning marble floors with quiet devotion. He never spoke to her directly, yet his eyes followed her wherever she went. Sometimes he requested tea even when he was not thirsty. Other times he asked for books he already owned. Though any servant could have fulfilled those tasks, he always waited for one face. The palace staff assumed the prince had developed odd habits. None of them suspected that the heir to the throne had fallen into silent devotion. As days turned into weeks, Adrian's feelings deepened. At night, he often stepped onto his balcony, gazing down at the moonlit gardens. Ilara was sometimes there, watering plants beneath the stars. He watched quietly, never calling her name, never daring to cross the invisible boundary between them. In the bright halls of the palace, Adrian was a prince. But in the solitude of his heart, he was simply a man in love. Unbeknownst to him, Ilara felt the same pull. Every time she approached the court and sensed his gaze upon her, her heartbeat quickened. When she passed him in narrow corridors, warmth spread through her chest. His silence spoke volumes, gentle, persistent, and sincere. Yet Ilara carried a burden heavier than longing. She had learned long ago to bury her emotions. She knew that affection between a servant and a prince was not just forbidden, it was impossible. Her role in the palace was temporary, her presence built upon secrets and sacrifice. Late one night, when most of the palace slept, Prince Adrian wandered through the quieter wings of the castle. Lanterns flickered weakly, casting long shadows across stone walls. As he passed the servants' quarters, a faint light caught his attention. Curiosity guided his steps. Through a small window, he saw Ilara sitting alone at a wooden desk. Ancient books surrounded her, their pages yellowed with age. Maps lay spread before her, marked with unfamiliar symbols and borders. She wrote carefully, her expression serious and focused. Adrian froze. This was no idle curiosity. This was study, strategy. He leaned closer and saw her write a single line on parchment, a sentence that made his blood run cold.
If this mission fails, both kingdoms will fall into ruin.
His heart pounded. A servant did not speak of kingdoms. He stepped away quietly, but the image haunted him through the night. The following day, when Elara served tea in the court, Adrian looked into her eyes with new understanding. They were not the eyes of a simple servant. They carried sorrow, resolve, and a quiet strength forged by responsibility. Elara felt the change instantly. His gaze was deeper now, searching, almost questioning. That night, Adrian made a decision. He would no longer remain a silent observer. After midnight, he walked carefully to Elara's chamber. Light glowed beneath her door. He paused, his heart racing, then knocked softly. Elara startled. Her pen slipped from her fingers. Papers were hurriedly hidden, but it was too late. Adrian stepped inside. The room smelled of parchment and oil lamps. Books lined the walls. Maps were folded hastily. He did not raise his voice. He did not accuse. He simply watched her. Fear flickered across Elara's face, but beneath it was something else, acceptance. Though few words were spoken that night, the truth hovered between them. Trust passed silently from one heart to another. Neither confessed everything, neither demanded answers.
How could you?
Yet something unbreakable formed in that quiet space. The following morning, tension gripped the palace. Ministers whispered urgently. Guards doubled their patrols. Prince Adrian stood near the throne as the High Chancellor delivered grave news.
There has been a spy from the enemy kingdom inside the palace for several days.
Intelligence confirmed that an enemy princess had infiltrated the palace, disguised as a servant. Shock rippled through the court. Adrian's gaze moved instinctively across the hall. Elara stood in the corner, holding a tray.
So it was you.
Her hands trembled. Time slowed. Adrian approached her, the weight of the kingdom pressing upon his shoulders. In a voice steady and cold, he declared judgment.
Elara, I have made my decision. You are hereby banished from the royal court, effective immediately.
The court gasped. Elara's world shattered, but as she lifted her eyes, she caught something no one else saw. A faint smile. That night, Elara was confined to her chamber. Fear filled her thoughts, yet beneath it lived a fragile hope. She remembered his eyes, his silence, his promise without words. The next day, the palace courtyard overflowed with soldiers and spectators. Chains bound Elara's wrists. Enemy envoys arrived, threatening war. Prince Adrian rose from his throne. He walked slowly toward her. Swords gleamed. Breath was held. Then, with a single motion, Adrian shattered her chains. He declared his choice not as a prince, but as a man.
Will you be? Will you be mine?
Elara was not an enemy. She was his future. The palace erupted in disbelief, then celebration. What began as silent longing ended in open truth. Through love, peace was forged. Through courage, two kingdoms were saved. And the prince who ruled in silence found his crown complete, not with power, but with love.